1.
Welcome to Tailor Made Chaos. On this podcast, we'll bring you some of the highest flyers and most interesting people in and around the fitness industry. We'll talk and laugh with CEOs, franchisee groups, exercise specialists, and to those who work in sales and marketing, and will share their insights and knowledge of all things related to the business of fitness. Love what you hear? Make sure you like and subscribe to keep up to date. On with today's show, proudly brought to you in conjunction with Fit Into Shape, a small but dedicated team of fitness industry professionals, delivering on all of your fitness equipment and gym design needs.
3, 2, 1.
Steve Jensen. Yes, widely known throughout the global fitness and business community as Dr. J. Welcome to Tailor Made Chaos.
Great to be here, mate. Good to see you.
Where are we on a Friday afternoon?
Oh, around our offices at Barangaroo with a lovely view across the harbour and also the casino next door if you want to have a bit of a flutter. But I must say the restaurants down there are really nice, but it's a nice neck of the wood.
Absolutely nice neck of the woods. It's a shame that the lighting was unable to be controlled for the podcast. Otherwise, we'd be out at the Sydney Harbour, which is where we're going after this, I believe.
Yes,
might go for a cruise on the harbour, a little Chardonnay. What do you think?
absolutely. It's always on a Friday down here. It's always fun because we have our meetings, do the damage, then we down tools, go down to King Street Wharf or thereabouts, and there's lots of nice places. It's not that busy on a Friday. Saturday, stay away, but Sunday's pretty good too.
It's a pretty good neck of the woods, especially for a Queensland country bumpman. Go come here, 27th floor, impressed by the view. So,
well, the water's actually blue here.
It's quite impressive. We don't see blue water up at the Brown State Capital. So, but enough about the weather, enough about the environment. We're here to talk about you.
Oh, dear.
The life of Dr. J, how you evolved. So, Steve, where'd you grow up?
I was actually born in Hong Kong.
Hong Kong?
Yes, my dad and mum sort of moved from England. And that's where I happened.
And without wanting to
That's a long time ago.
date people too much, how long ago are we talking?
Oh, that's about over 65, closer to 68 years ago.
Ooh, wonderful. Well, that's all we're going to talk about with age. So Hong Kong's a long way from here.
Yeah.
You have a very Australian accent. So where'd you grow up? Had schooling go? How'd you get to Australia?
All right. Well, it all happened there when I was living in Hong Kong. I actually started school early. Reason being, I had a pretty good memory. I thought I was really clever, but I just had a good memory. It just stuck me in school pretty early. And then from there onwards, we had to go backwards and forwards to England to see grandma and grandpa, or mum and dad.
Yep.
So it was backwards and forwards from there. And then dad got an opportunity. He was in the, what would you call it, the Merchant Marines. So he was a captain, and he then got an opportunity to go to Australia. So we went backwards and forwards from Hong Kong, and then we eventually popped over here when I was around about 10 or 11 years old. And
They're saying you don't hear too often.
yeah, probably everyone wouldn't even know what that was. They used to pay us to come to Australia. Now they're trying to get people to leave. So I actually, we moved to a place called Manly.
Yes.
A very different culture, living from Hong Kong, which was all expat orientated. And then we had England, which was in London. We lived in Lancaster Gate down there, and in the Law Society. And then we went out to the country, so getting the best of both worlds. So it was very different. And then we came over to Australia, where the young people at school were wearing flannel shirts and desert boots, where I used to have to wear a hat and long pants and a tie.
Well, and I see some things haven't changed because you're sitting here in your demure suit. I actually dress for the occasion.
You got, look, I see you got a little bow tie there.
Yeah, it's as debonair as I get. So we're talking late 60s, early 70s, somewhere around there. Different.
Very different, yeah. It's a different, the whole world's different now, but all around, but it was a different culture shift. So, went through school
and you were sports strong. I think you were a soccer player, is that right?
Yeah.
Or football for those who want to speak internationally for us, soccer.
Yeah, round ball soccer. It was like soccer was my thing. Did martial arts, and I was became handy at running and jumping over hurdles. So I enjoyed the scholastic protocol, but I much preferred the exercise. So very different sport.
I like that. I like that phrasing. Might even have to try and work that in as my word of the week at some.
So yeah, so it was
I'm still learning from you.
oh look, mate,
30 years down the track, I'm
Give me-
still learning.
give me a call anytime. Yeah, I enjoyed it, and we went through school and doing that stuff. I gravitated towards that, and after that, okay, what are you going to do when you grow up? I had no idea, so I did gravitate towards all of the sporting protocols. So from going into uni to wanting to have a certain career, then all of a sudden, much preferring to go and exercise and train. Yeah, it was I needed a place to train. I got some sponsorship, so I thought, why not open up a little place where I could train? So go to the YMCA because there's nowhere around. So I was in the bank. I did the banking and then did computers, and that was my big thing. But I was doing much better with my sponsorships from the sporting people than I was from earning money from having a career. So I decided to have a rest and just train.
Very cool. So it was a very different fitness industry from what it is now. Can you talk to me, just in very general terms, what has been the overall shift in the last 35, 40 years, 40 plus years of the fitness industry?
Look, when I started it, there were no clubs. I mean, but for a lot of people might think that difficult to comprehend, but there were no clubs. I mean, the only place you could really train was the YMCA. It had a few weights scattered around the corner and so forth. So there were no health clubs and so forth. And so it was a very new concept. Funnily enough, you would have people telling you that you're mad to open a business that would be with weight training and stuff. Aerobics was non-existent.
Yeah.
Calisthenics was a new thing. Physical culture was a very new music. Exercise to music, very, very new. It was not, and it all evolved from there. And so when we first started, the things that people used to listen to or watch or read were like Muscle and Fitness and the Weeder magazines and all that sort of stuff. And but there was nothing in Australia like it. So needed a place to train. So just copied it. So it just
Created it.
Well, we just went out into a foundry and bought some weights, which just comes out raw. But yep, you got to get a wire brush and paint it with red lead. And then you got to spray it with gunmetal blue or whatever you want to do it and let it dry.
Yeah.
FX was pretty good back in those days. That's the way you had to do it. Yeah. I went all the way to a place in Queensland to find a foundry to find out where to get the weights. There weren't any in New South Wales. I actually hired a nice truck to go up there and nearly killed everyone driving a truck. But yeah, there was nothing to actually copy, and that was exciting, but also a scary thing to do. I didn't actually do it for a business, to be quite frank. We just opened this little place to train. Then I thought, well, this would be a good idea. Why don't I charge a few bucks for a casual visit?
So again, I sort of touched on that the industry was quite different than I mean, your career is staggering when we look at the fact that you're now running Sales Pro AI. And I guess I just want to cover some of that gap between basically a nil industry to what we've come to now. But there was no such things as direct debit. There was no such thing as sales systems. There were no clubs. So, for those who have no idea of sort of the history of the industry, you started a club. You built to multiple clubs. Talk to me about that process.
When we got the club, and it was actually, surprisingly enough, people wanted to train there. Had to make up what they had to pay, and let's give them a 12-month membership with a amortized down to 7.333, blah, blah, blah. So we just made it up, and it was no fantastic business plan, but eventually they did become one, and then it became a scalable. Buy the equipment, put in the carpet. Back in those days, it was carpet. Get the speakers and get a few deck chairs and a desk, and then you were good to go. It wasn't expensive, and people used to come to it. As long as it was air conditioned, it was easy to go. Then you just have an opportunity. Because it was new, people gravitated. As it became popular, it became much more commercial. Big group exercise or the exercise to music became aerobics, and became a lot more choreographed, and then it evolved quite quickly. A lot of competitors coming in the marketplace. Equipment became much more fancy. Electronic stuff started arriving. I mean, all of our bikes and stuff, we never had anything back in the old days. Aerodynes was
Yeah, well, I think historically the first commercial treadmill was either 1979 or 1981 from memory. We had no treadmills. No, that's right. People forget how that is. You ran around a bloody block, Yeah.
And then aerobic, then we had exercise to music, and then all the music we used to create, we used to get your own records and get a recorder and blend them together. Then people got smarter, then started to put all of the stuff with mixing stuff. It was like, wow. But then a network with the great man Nigel and Greg and Hatchie started to put together.
Those who don't know those names, Nigel Champion,
Greg Hurst, and
Greg Sabat, not with us at Pirates.
is Greg still lives? Greg Hurst?
Yeah, he's alive. Oh, is he? I thought it looks great. Sorry, you're same age as me. Yeah, and
now they created tracks.
okay.
The tracks was cassettes to choreograph to music. You could buy it. So you didn't have to do all that stuff. And then that's where the industry started to evolve and became much more structured. Network for fitness professionals became a big thing. And Nigel and Greg started the network, and then they started the conferences, and then clubs were opening up everywhere. Some opening, some closing. Buy get one free for a year and all that sort of crap.
I had lifetime memberships back then, absolutely. Yeah.
And when we created that, the process called Gym Bank Card, and I went to the Fitness New South Wales. I said, 12-month memberships will be a thing of the past. We're all struggling at the beginning of the month. We're broke. Everyone laughed, said, yeah, but we still do okay. I said, yeah, but I've actually started this thing with this automatic payment protocol. And they said, no one will ever give you your credit card details or bank card, credit cards were not very popular. There was no MasterCard. There was no Visa cards. That's how long ago. Anyway, long story short, we then created a process and started that monthly, then weekly, shared it with everyone. Then other businesses started to create the model, and look what we have now. So it was actually a bit of an experiment. Yeah, because I was doing a lot of stuff overseas back as we progressively, and I sold the clubs. A lot of clubs had not progressed to that level. Australia led the way in a lot of different areas. So you went from a little clubs, weight training in particular, to be more, because it was heavily into resistance training back in the old days. Then it became more family orientated, big T-shirt, so to speak. So it became quite scary to arrive at a club. People say, only for Body Beautiful. And it was, but then it changed. Yeah. And that's Nigel and Greg and Network in particular. They were the architects of changing the perception to Mr. and Mrs. Average who wants to get healthy and well. They created the scope to become a professional, to have fitness level 1 and having accreditation. Greg actually led the world in creating accreditation globally. Nigel created the first conference in Australia, and then they took Brett Haller, who became my business partner in the UK, took Network to the United Kingdom, FitPro. So Greg and Nigel had a lot. Have a lot to thank them for. And they created that significant growth in the industry. And even they both were involved with the great man Bill Robinson when he brought in Les Mills. And who would have thought that, because group fitness was mainly. Yeah. Who was to say, we were saying it becomes too choreographed. Get rid of it, put in some equipment, it's better usage of your stuff. And Bill said, all my friends like Manfred and Barry and the rest of them, you big clubs, we're going to get rid of it all. And look, Bill said, no, this mob in New Zealand had done a pretty good job and brought it over to Australia, and it just revolution, and that's the group Aaron there. I got that. So it's mono, and also a privilege of actually in helping it with the sales over here in Australia, and he took me over to America. I met the godfathers of the fitness industry. And I then worked with Les Mills International with Steve Renata and the great man, Mr. Sweeney, yes, and Pete Manuel. We used to go to all of the conferences and teach all the agents how to sell, and they used to do their master classes. And that gave me the scope to go internationally. And it was because of Greg and Nigel and Bill in particular that opened up that.
Say you were kind of there really at the foundations of the fitness industry in Australia without making me try and sound older than what you are. Oh, look, I think people don't realize how young really our industry is. The last 40 odd years has gone from there to this professional body with private equity and venture capital, professionalism, sales training, and we'll still cover a few of those things, but it's quite incredible how immature our industry was to the maturity that's developed in the last 40 years.
Well, globally, it's actually we've got some phenomenal people that have been in the industry for quite some time. I mean, David Patchell Evans is the godfather of Canada and also in New Zealand, and brought some of his clubs here. Lovely guy. I mean, Victor Brick with his Planet Fitness and all the other stuff, and you got other people. Andrew Simmons, for instance.
You're using personal training, which is
He's kicked. And all of these really clever people, and it's so many clever people that have made our industry so incredibly strong. I mean, look at all the leaders and CEOs of the companies, the Harrys of the world, and the Greg Olivers. They've forged our industry and made it bigger than anything. Clever people with a vision.
Well, I mean, now we're sitting at a penetration rate that I saw most recently of between 27 and 28%, which is a global leading penetration rate into the community. I still feel like our industry's got so much to go, but it's quite incredible to think 40 years ago, nobody had the membership. Nobody knew the gym brand, whereas now you can talk like household names for the gym brands. So it's quite remarkable.
The branding has been great. And look, some businesses like Ozactive and so forth are getting out into the marketplace, helping the industry silently and sometimes a little bit louder. It's really made a big difference. But there are some people in our industry that just stand out and really work hard to make everyone know their brand. And there's some people that really drive their brand, and there's others that just tick along. But there's not many people in Australia don't know about gyms or health clubs or personal training studios now.
That's right. So, Steve, at some point you must have had an epiphany because you decided to start your own sales club. So talk to me about that journey. You're in the clubs, you're selling out of them. If you're out on the international stage, why impact trade?
Well, what happened was when we had nightclubs, we were very stingy back in the old days. And back in the old days, you didn't share too much. You're the competitors, so you didn't have coffees with competitors.
I'm a little bit friends. Well, they are. And it's a long time ago.
There was lots of things that some of the new guys were doing much better than us, but we were very good at connecting with people, not in a salesy way, but actually with a product that wasn't cheap, but it was affordable. Yeah. But we created a compelling argument. And my background, people don't want to hear about all of it, but I did a lot of psychology things, and I created systems, process, and more.
Yeah. We used to do a lot of disc profiling as well, didn't you? Yeah, which really helps a lot in understanding personalities and how to sell to them.
Yeah, it was something that I was learned from the great man, Dr. Luke, from all the first that put it into the industry. It was unheard of. And that was because of Duncan Aloof. So we became the trainers and started utilizing that. But also a lot of the psychology models through your order that we put through it's all trigger pointing. So when I actually create all of the models, it actually has a protocol. So we use that in our clubs. So when I actually sold the clubs, so my friend was struggling, the industry was up in flux. So I created the system, pretty straightforward. Then I went into another business in a BE. I started working there for a little while, and they were having some pretty good systems. So I learned a lot along the way. But when I eventually opened up Impact, it was to help some of my friends who were struggling because they have no systems, process, or tools, no accountability, no training, no models, no sales tools, and there was no training. So we used to do training at our clubs.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I'll come and help you. So how much? And I said, well, I don't know. Let's make some. That's exactly. So what happened? I helped a few of the guys, whacked a few bucks down there, and then we created a process. And before very long, it was just me and one of my managers. We were completely full because we do training once or twice
when did the alter ego Dr. J come in? Was that early in the piece, or was this, over time you got known as Dr. J?
That was actually given to me by a dear friend who's passed away now, Ben Butler. I did a lot of work with Kerry and Rowena McAvoy on the AIF, or the Institute back days. And Ben was one of their Lizetters. We used to go there, Bet. Yeah, Bet? Yes, beautiful man. Always happy, made everyone laugh. And everyone had their name. Everyone had a name with Kerry and Rowena's business, right? It's like it was B Large or whatever. No. And he said to me, he said, "Oh, it's going to be your name." And he said, "Oh, I'll call you Dr. J." And I went, everyone had a bit giggly. I said, "Why Dr. J?" He said, "Oh, you're the sales doctor, but, you're doing your presentations and stuff. You're just like Dr. J, the basketball player that just goes around the basketball effortlessly." So it was a bit of a funny thing. But he gave it to me and stuck. Well, funnily enough, I didn't tell many people. And it just simmered out into the industry. And I was actually at a conference at Brazil, go on stage to introduce some of their presenters at the beginning, and they put on The Godfather. It says, "This is Dr. J, the Godfather of sales." Well, I was like, who told them?
Someone did that research, Angela.
But Benny Butler brought it together, and it was just, and it just stuck. So it's it's a doctor or something, put it that way.
Fair enough. So what sort of time frame are we talking about for the beginning of their back training? Is this early 2000s? Please.
And it was well before that, mate. And soon I moved into the city in 2000, so that would be more in the early-ish mid-90s.
Okay.
So we've been about for over 30 plus years. So we'll call it a project.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden started up in clubs all over the place. And then because of Les Mills, all of the agents became our agents through Brent. Hello. Yes, on FitPro, we created Impact International. And we had agencies all around the world that I did boot camps for the consultants to do the training to actually implement the processes of IGC into each country. So that was because of Bill Robinson, Niall Gray, and Brent. They gave me the opportunity. See, I can't take credit for it. I met the right people at the right time. And that's
the way that life works. When you're doing a great job, you do tend to come across the right mind and the right people at the right time. So talking about the right people, I saw some imagery with you. So you have another sort of interest now that you started working on. We're jumping right forward to the future. So talk to me about Sales Pro AI.
Oh, look, it's a project. Every year I put together a project. Some of them work, some of them don't.
Yes.
But what was something that was coming up quite topical was AI. Everyone
AI this, AI,
you got to do AI, you got to learn AI. The challenge is firstly, what AI works, and there's so much of it available now. So what I wanted to do is to help our industry fix all problems. Number one, recruitment. Finding the salespeople or the people to do the sales. So we're just talking about sales now, right?
Yeah.
Finding the people. Then we got to train them. And when we get the right person, we train them. We got to get them to do what they've been trained. Okay? So it becomes management, leadership. Then we have people getting sick. Then they leave. So there's a replacement. And then underperformance for not using systems process because they're either they choose not to do it or they just don't have the capacity. And that costs clubs hundreds of thousands of dollars every single week in some cases. Yeah. Right? Our job is to train people to be able to give them the opportunity to maximize their money. We help businesses make more money and give them the freedom to have a lifestyle. So I'm thinking, well, if AI can do this, we'll actually create a model. So speed to lead booking to show is really important. Cost clubs thousands of dollars. So I went and scaled the globe really and spoke to these 70, 80 businesses to find out a model that would work. And I found some actually in Australia and we now put together all of our scripts and props and models and triggers to create a product called Sales Pro AI, which It's got a increased speed to lead. It has a voice that will call you. It'll send you text and respond instantly. It will send emails and make sure that you actually have correspondence and have many more conversations so we can book more appointments. So we've been working through all of the models. By the way, the telephone prompts that we utilize for humans, what an AI would use is significantly different.
Yeah.
All right. So, but you got to have a latency and all that sort of stuff, and a little bit of a thing called a tag where they respond to it, so it doesn't sound too robotic. So we created 5 different suites: incoming call, outgoing call, referral calls, cancellations, the whole lot. So it's all almost ready to launch. Got a couple more role plays to do. For the robots.
No, it must feel quite strange doing role play with a robot, but then I suppose it becomes quite natural.
Well, on our website or our landing page, you can actually click the button and it will call you and say, "Hey, Glenn, you want to know about Sales Pro AI?" You'll say, "Yep." So how about we organize a bit of a role play? If you put your club's website in there, it'll go and scale through that and drag all the information. So I'll have all your USPs and the name, and then it'll do a very simple role play with you. And then it'll say, hey, at the end of it, it'll say, well, did you like that? And it'll say, well, why don't we book a chat if you'd like to put it into your club? So Sam, bot will actually do that for you. So it's really cool. And we try to make it as simple as possible. But what goes behind it is making sure that we book more appointments. So we see more people, we'll make more sales. So Sales Pro AI is specifically designed to take away a lot of time that gets wasted, to increase calls to contact to book, so you actually can then do the magic in the club.
And that's where obviously the rest of what you do and the magic you deliver comes.
That's right. So we'll do actually make sure the conversion, we're conversion experts. And, some people said, oh, we're the leader or one of the leaders. So we've been doing it long enough, so we should be doing something right.
Absolutely. So I mean, what do you think the difference between hard and soft skills are, and why are soft skills so important?
Everyone wants to learn how to close and do telephone calls and all that sort of stuff. The big mistake is people love soft skills like DISC or body language and tonality. That's a lot of fun. But that's the secret sauce. Yeah. What club owners need to understand, and the salespeople need to understand, is that they need to learn the hard skill, the process, and make sure that they understand how to say it, what to say it. Forget about the tone or the presentation, because once the hard skill is in place, in other words, the process, and they know the words, then you can look at delivery. But the soft skills is how you talk to people, how you adjust your behavior, how to speak faster or slow, or match and mirror their body language. Those are the secret sources that the top salespeople master. But you can't learn those first. It's very interesting to learn first, but it's a waste of time and money to learn the soft skills, the hard skills. And by the way, the hard skills cannot be learned. Everyone needs to really get this, because we specialize in training, but we would specialize not in training, but in implementation and empowering. There's a big difference. And it's one of my bugbears. Training doesn't work, and you can't listen to a video without doing PDR. PDR is practice, drill, rehearse. If you don't do the practice, you're not going to learn it. And it's sales. It's not a marketing strategy. It's about doing it. You only learn by doing. You can't learn how to ride a bike very well with just watching a video. You got to get on the bike. And it's the same thing for sales, and overcoming objections, and then you can deliver. The big problem is that people read manuals and read a book. It's not going to teach them sales. This is a big problem in our industry.
We're getting right into some of the scale skills, which is obviously what you're in now for. But why do people need to practice daily, and how do you recommend that they practice those skills? Okay.
Well, let's put it another way. If you're an elite sports person, would you only run around the block once a month? No. Salespeople come into work, have a coffee, and get on the phone. That's called nuts. The best come up, look at it, and say, what have I got to do today? They'll do some PDR for 20 minutes, sharpen their axe. What you have to do, and this is what everyone should be practicing, is find out your weakness, a little micro role play or PDR. I practice that every day for about 15 to 20 minutes. That creates a neural pathway, it becomes embedded command, which means it becomes easy to say. If you don't do it, you're not going to stay the same, you'll go backwards. And isn't it interesting? I've been talking to a superstar salesperson the other day, and he was then teaching some of his team members, and he rings me up and said, "Oh, hey, Doc, I've been showing this person how to do it, and I just realized I'm not actually doing what I'm teaching." See, we know what to do, but we forget what to do because we think we've become. So going back to basics is critical. So this PDR thing, and by the way, I've had so many people just do training with us each month and just do a little bit catch up. Then they just started to do more PDR. All of a sudden they go, oh my goodness, what a difference it makes. But it is the key to the success barometer. If you want implementation, do your PDR.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I've had a sales career over 24 years in fitness industry doing mostly equipment. If we don't sharpen our sword, if we don't continue to practice, rehearse, drill, then you do lose those skills. Sure. You need to be constantly sharpening the sword.
Back to basics regularly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, head to from here. We touched on Sales Pro AI, but I wouldn't say you're in the twilight of your career. You've further progressed, but I don't see you stopping anytime soon. So where do you go to from here? What's next for Impact? What's next for you?
Look, many years ago, I used to travel the world. I was in each country every week or 2 weeks, especially over through Europe and America, and that was a lot of fun as a young man. I was fun now. Look, everything is done online and through Zoom and all the other bits and pieces. Once we've actually launched Sales Pro AI, and we have the success that we believe it will, we'll actually launch it globally. And then I've got 2 other projects that we're going to start, which again, because it's available through the internet and so forth, we'll be able to help a lot of clubs do it. One will be actually doing the sales itself. Yeah, right. So we've got a new process and model work environment. And I've also, I was actually talking to Richard. Yes, Richard. Talking about how some of these apps to do coaching and training. So I delved into around about 15 of them and had a chat with him. So what we're going to do is to create a Dr. J app where all our information will be dumped into this and then structured accordingly. So after any of our trainings, you can then click the app and ask a question, and I'll do the PDR with you, and it will be all of our information at our fingertips. So I want to be able to scale without actually having to jump on an airplane. So that's the goal. And then I'm an heir apparent. So I'm looking for someone now who wants to take the man.
You can look a little further than me. I don't think I feel like your shadow's a lot bigger than what my ability is to fulfill. So, but thank you. And if you weren't looking at me, well, then I'll go on down. Absolutely. So, Steve, I can't think of any more of a stronger authority than to have you in an AI sales role. I mean, how many memberships would you close on behalf of operators? You become the voice of, or at least the knowledge of the sales for the club.
I've met so many amazing thousands of people around the world, and what gives me the most joy is, look, having good presenting and stuff was always fun and hanging out and doing the training. But what gives me the most joy is when we see the look of how excited they are that they've actually achieved, especially someone that was struggling, or a club owner or a manager who's then just simplified the system. Have had the training done for them, and the team are really excited. I had a call at 7:30 this morning by one of the managers at one of the clubs we work with. So excited that one of their team members had broken their record with this person was really struck me beforehand. And just because they change a few little things. So if we can have a little bit of an impact on somebody's success or career, or also their lifestyle, that's where I get my joy from. We can create the Sales Pro AI, which makes life easier for people, and we do other things. That makes me happy. I'm not trying to be selfish here, but because it makes a little bit of a difference, maybe a big difference.
I think a massive difference. One of the things I always had in my team is sales fixes everything. the business having cash flow problems. Sales would fix it. It may create more problems, but they're good problems to have, right?
And always say, there's not much in business more sales won't fix.
That's it. To me, it is that simple. It fixes everything. It may cause problems, but it fixes everything. So, I feel like we could sit and chat belly to belly for a long time. I feel like this is part one of your journal, but is there anything you wanted to specifically talk about that we hadn't chatted about?
Just one thing, if your listeners are interested in increasing their sales, or increasing sales is probably the wrong thing to say. It's actually making sure that their membership grows. Right? There's so many clubs, and look, I am privileged to actually go into big and small clubs on a regular basis, and the sales processes people are using are so outdated. And our job is to future-proof or future-pace the processes. And that's what I do here 24/7. My job is to make sure that we do short the sales cycle, make it easier for the person to buy, not for us to teach a salesperson to sell. We can't sell anything to anyone. We just got to get the person comfortable buying. So what I would love everyone to sort of really look at is like, how can we firstly update our tools, sales tools, with the process, and to get their team training and doing their PDR. Now, there's lots of ways to do it, whether with us or other people, it doesn't matter. But if you're not upgrading your processes, some of them have become so vanilla. In other words, no needs analysis, a verbal presentation for price, where we're going right back to lazy selling. And then people wondering, they're thinking the leads are crap. No, it's the presentation. And you've got telephone calls where we don't even find a result and just tell them, come on in, it's for a free trial, where there's no compelling argument. So those things have become not trained, and the industry is suffering because of it, because there's so much money spent on marketing and lead gen. And that's why, things like Sales Pro, great, but I'd love when the people come into the club to upgrade their processes and just sharpen their axe, and that will make their life a lot easier.
One of the beliefs I firmly have is, and you hear people put sales here, member retention there. But I think if the sales process is followed correctly and the member is qualified, or the prospect is qualified, that if they end up purchasing the right membership for them, they're more than likely going to retain that member for a lot longer. Membership retention starts from the sales process. Is that something you agree with, or?
Okay, there's a twist to it. My data says, and by the way, clubs are doing a much better job at this now. If people spend more, they stay longer.
Very true.
So the secondary spend or tertiary spend pre-frame, which means we're wanting them to buy the PT or the supplements or the wellness or whatever, if they buy a bigger product or add-on products, like even buy supplements or whatever, the data says if they spend more, they stay longer. Which means, and by the way, this is something that some people don't do. They might have a big rock membership price, $60, $70, whatever it may be, and it's combining everything. What you're better off having is membership price, which is your core price, and your add-on, which is a separate debit. So if someone wants to cancel, they just cancel the extras and stay as a human in business. But the data is unequivocal. If we pre-frame secondary spend and referrals in their needs analysis tour and so forth, and you can get secondary spend and they recommend a friend to actually train, not give a referral, big difference, you'll increase your retention. And that's probably one of the most effective retention strategies. Now, we spend millions of dollars on retention models, but if they're spending more, getting a result, having an experience, by the way, they stay because of the experience. They don't just stay because of a result.
No. Well, and they don't stay because they were sold something either. But if they are qualified and you really truly get to the needs analysis of what they want, on the surface level, at secondary level, and obviously you cover this in a lot more detail and a lot better than I will. But if you qualify their needs and they purchase, not sold, purchase the right product for them, then of course they're already going to want to stay longer. And if that right product is a higher ancillary spend, as you say, that they are more likely to stay. they're not going to get sold the $60 or the $70 package when there's $20 option if they're not qualified properly, right?
Yeah, you're correct. You can't do secondary spend unless the secondary spend is part of the solution. So it's not like you want fries with that. It's got to be part of the conversation from the get-go.
Which is very different. There's no process to would you like fries with that? That's for sure.
So if one thing of the extra that I'd say everyone should be thinking about, upgrade their process, go back and clean up their tools. The sales cycle has shortened, but the two worst things done in our industry right now, number one, phone work. Number two is the tour. Number two is the tour. So we've got
the same worn out path.
They're not even doing a tour anymore. The experience is almost non-existent. So people buy experiences. Question I ask everybody, what experience you're creating? Is it wow, or is it, it's a lovely word I heard the other day,
underwhelming? It's a lot of underwhelming tours or non-existent experiences out there, isn't there? I don't think we're going to save the world today. But if people resonate with what we sort of talked about today, how do they get in contact with you, Steve?
Oh, look, just go on the good old website. As easy as you can hop in there. It's impact-training.net. Pop a hello in Facebook, or they can give you a call and you give them their mobile number.
Do that. I'll happily do that.
Terrific.
I'll do very strong referral. Well, Steve, I thoroughly enjoyed our chat today. But for me, what I love about the podcast that I'm running is I want people to see a career path in our industry. And so many people, trainers in their early days, can't see how they can get to rise to different areas in our industry. And I think you've just shown another perspective. You've shown that whilst you within the fitness industry, sales has been the overwhelming thing with that desire of the fitness industry. Haven't even talked about your martial arts career. There's so much we haven't talked about. But for me, I just want to say thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. I think it's time to go have that Chardonnay on the water, mate.
Lovely. I do the damage. Yeah. Thanks for a good chat, mate. It's always good.
Thank you.